Okay, got that, where that goes. Measure this again. Remember our 3, 4, 5. So I measured over this way, 3 feet. I can double check it on my pencil mark down there. Hey, what happened? It should be right on. And if anything, it's slightly off. Maybe because I had the ladder there. We want to get this lined up because this is a straight, I'm using this as a straight line for the plywood because the plywood's going to tie into this existing plywood. Okay? So I'm going to look at this again. Get my mark. I'm 1/8 of an inch off. Okay, it's that outside line. Yeah, this kind of matters. Now could I frame all this stuff crooked and line it up with that and have everything crooked? The plywood would still fit on here, but not the last piece is not going to fit on there. And I'd like to have everything straight. Seems as though that I'm doing it. Might as well do it right. Okay, so I got my 48 inches. Looking down here to see if this is square, and it should be because I got that lined up square now with my teeth. Because see, if this was slightly off, it's going to throw this off. Okay, I may have to tap it back this way a little bit because my tape measure's going just a hair further now. There. Ah. Okay. That's pretty dang close. If I had a small little sheet of 4x4 piece of plywood, I could set that in here, set it in there, line it up, and say, sure enough, hey, that's square. Now with that being square, this is not square here because from there, just for kicks, for the inside edge, for this outside edge, 31 1/16, and I got 30 1/16. This is out of square by 1 inch. That's going at an angle, okay? So 32 centered. Okay, so that means if I'm going to use that end, I can now, it means the plywood's going to overhang this by 1 inch. Okay? And I can measure my plywood off of these joists and go backwards from a point on the plywood. You see? So if I use that outside corner or that inside corner, however you want to look at it, as the very end of the plywood, this edge, then I can have this joist 32 inches to the very center of it, okay? So I know I've got to move it over that way a little bit, okay? And then once I do that, I'll know how far to move this one. So for right now, my line up there, my line there, that's square. Kaboom. Now, once I tap this over to 32 to the center, it's probably going to go over, oh, I don't know, 1/4 inch or something. We'll just see. See, that's about 1/4 over that. Just follow me here if you're a little confused. Now I have to put this 1/4 inch beyond that. I'm just going to eyeball it for right now and I'll go back. Okay. Now let's see, I'm only concerned about that point to the center over here, okay? And I got 32. If anything, it's 32 and a 16th. That's got to go about there. And it's gonna go about there. Okay. So my sheet is going to be 32 inch in the center, and then 48 center, 64 center, and on tape measure you've got red marks every 16 inches. Because when you frame out a house, when you frame out floors, lots of time they're on 16-inch centers. So if you're laying something out, the first one you have to go 15 and a quarter, and then you can run your tape 16, boom, 13, 32, boom, put a mark X, whatever. But see, if I were to set this one, then what I could do is just take my tape measure on the edge and go 16 inches, put a line, and then put an X on the right. 32, line, X on the right. 42, 48, and so forth, okay? So this is square. If I can't use this, my measure right there now, I would have to measure from the inside over, make another mark, line it back up. This 4-foot mark stays the same. It's going to be the same because I already marked it up there, right? So see, in reality, the end of my sheet, 32 to the center, goes to the outside of the edge. The outside of this edge to here is 31 and an eighth or so. 32 to the center is meaning the plywood's going to stick over about an inch over there. And if I were to measure a 4x8 sheet, I would measure where I know that it's going to go, and I would measure 48 inches. I wouldn't measure all the way over. I would measure at 48. Okay? And then I would take my tape measure and measure at that point straight across here. If I put it on 32 inches on my sheet of plywood, I could make a mark at 32, make a mark at 32, measure back however far. I'd have to go over there, hold it on the center, and then say, okay, it's 7/8 of an inch short. And so I would measure 7/8 of an inch on the 48-inch sheet of plywood, and then I would measure 7/8 in, take a chalk line from there to nothing over there, and cut that, knowing that when I put this sheet in right here, then I can measure the joint here, the joint there, and all that. And I could do it backwards square if I wanted to get to see if the column was square. Okay? Or I could make the assumption that it's pretty close to being square, or you know, what I'm going to end up doing is once I figure out where this one goes, the reason why I haven't done this band yet is because I didn't want to just put one little piece 2x6 up against this concrete, the stucco, and then just stop it right there. What I'm going to do is, once I get this one set, instead of having a piece 18 inches long and then having to screw it in through the stucco and just have that one 18-inch little piece holding, I'm going to measure that piece. Say, for instance, if this were to stay exactly where it's at, I would measure it 29 7/8. And then that way I can push it up tight to the stucco, I can attach it on the wood over here, and then I can nail it right through this, or screw it, or whatever. I can put liquid nails behind here, and I don't even necessarily have to do anything there, but what I'll probably end up doing is pinning it with 2 screws through there, knowing that it's not going to split or anything, and then I will put this piece in, boom, like that, and then I'd have a little piece in here that I could fit in, have enough room to work, put a clip there, and then I can screw it right through this 2x6 through this way, right there, see? And now in this one, I don't necessarily have to do that because this is wood and I built this so I know where the backing is. I've got backing, I've got the 2x6, I've got two 2x6s right here going that direction, so I know I've got something to hit here. I've got a flat 2x6 here going down that way.